Where you going, Britney? You gonna go for a walk?
Looking nice, Britney.
You look nice, Britney. Where are you going? Why are you crying, Britney?
You okay, Britney?
Are you okay, Britney?
You should go home, Britney.
Do you need to talk to someone, Britney?
Britney, I love your hat.
Can you please go away?
Can you go home, please, Britney?
Very stylish. Let's go, let's go, hey, Caco. Hey, Carlito, hey.
Guys, come on,
Hey, guys, hey. What's up, Britney? Everyone get out. Out! Hey! Dijo que sí.
Y'all should know better. That's an extra.
When you go to jail, there's always the time that you know that you're going to get out, you know.
Do you feel out of control in your life?
No, I don't feel like it's out of control. I think it's too in control. There's no excitement. There's no money, cash. It's just like Groundhog Day every day.
We really want to see a 25-year-old woman leave behind 2 children and die? Have we learned nothing from Anna Nicole Smith? I know it's hard to see Britney Spears as a human being, but trust me, she is. She's a person. She's like you or I. Get well, Britney. The world needs to know that Britney still has her fans. Britney needs to know that she still has her fans. Dare anyone out there make fun of Britney after all she's been through? She lost her aunt. She went through a divorce. She's going through a custody battle. All you people care about is making money off of her. Leave her alone! Leave Britney alone! Please.
Okay, I'm going to try my best to get through this video in one piece. I have been wanting to discuss Free Britney and the whole movement for so long now. I think it finally came to my attention about a year ago, and then I kept digging and digging because it's a rabbit hole. In the world of social media and YouTube, I figured, why not go look into this rabbit hole and see what Britney is going through. As different things have surfaced and the news starts to cover it more, it keeps getting brought back up. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I kind of talked myself out of it because I said, there's so many people already covering this, mainstream media, other YouTubers who are way bigger than my channel. I have notes because there's so much to say and I don't want to get lost. I don't want to take away any meaning because it's so important to talk about what's going on with Britney. Because I am a fan of Britney, but whether I'm a fan or not, this is a human rights issue and a moral issue. I just want to talk through it just because maybe 1 or 2 people will watch this video who learned something new or didn't know about it previously. I have to say, I am now a proud vinyl collector. I know I'm trying to be hip. This was one of the first vinyls that I purchased because when this album dropped, I was only like a couple years old. So Britney is about 16 years older than me. I'm 23. So of course, when she was in the height of her career, I was so young. By the time I got started to be old enough to where I had an interest in music and I was starting to listen, I loved listening to Britney. I didn't always know a lot about her or what she was singing about. I know that back then she had a lot of hate, stigma, criticism about her lyrics and her clothing and how she danced, how she sang. I never understood that, just as I think a musician myself and as an artist, as a woman. I still let her do whatever the heck she wants to do and whatever makes her feel empowered, but there was so much negativity back in the day towards Britney Spears. Really looking at it now, she's paved the way for not only female artists and pop culture, but for women in society as a whole, trying to move people away from these horrible, horrible stereotypes that she had to go through with the mainstream media. So let's take it all the way back to the beginning. We need to address the past in order to talk about how Britney got to where she's at today. for my own sake, I have to say, for legal purposes, everything I am about to address, except for the conservatorship itself, we all know that that is true. There are documents everywhere. There are a lot of allegations I'm going to be bringing up. You can find these anywhere on the internet, but just for legal purposes, these are allegations that I am addressing. I also want to give a shout out to a lot of the media outlets that I follow to get my information and my updates on Britney. There is freebritney.net, which I haven't been following for very long, but I found it when I was trying to find resources and timelines. Also at Britney Hiatus on Twitter. They're amazing. They're constantly updating, tweeting, really great content and updates there. And then of course, my boy Sloan, and he spells it SL04N. He is the master of Free Britney. I am subscribed to his channel. I'll leave links to everyone I just mentioned, including him, down below. I am constantly going to him for updates. I've gotten a lot of my resources and information through him specifically. If he sees this video, you are a big reason I chose to film this video. I remember one time I was watching one of your Free Britney videos, and you were just talking about if more people could talk about this and raise awareness for it, then maybe we'll be able to expose more of the horrible things that Britney's going through and be able to get this girl some justice. Miss Britney Jean Spears was born on December 2nd, 1981 in Macomb, Mississippi, and was later raised in Kentwood, Louisiana. When Britney was 8, her mom took her to Atlanta, Georgia to audition for the 1990s revival of the Mickey Mouse Club. It's funny looking back at that now because I grew up watching Disney in the Hannah Montana, That's So Raven era. I had never actually watched the Mickey Mouse Club, but of course we got Britney from the Mickey Mouse Club, we got Christina Aguilera, Ryan Gosling, Justin Timberlake, who obviously plays a big role in Britney's early life and love life. It's crazy to think that they all sprung from the Disney machine. When I was so young, all I wanted so bad was to desperately be on Disney or Nickelodeon. Preferably Disney because growing up that was my favorite, but I used to beg my mother to just let me audition, let me do music and acting from a very young age. I still remember her to this day saying, I don't want to take away your childhood. And I never understood that, you know, being 6, 7, 8, and all I wanted to do was just perform and be in front of people. But now when I look back on stories like Britney's, I have to tell her that I definitely understand where she was coming from. Also, it was reported that Jamie Spears, Britney's father, was very abusive growing up. An alcoholic, he would get in fights with her mother Lynn and drive off drunk with Britney, getting raging arguments in front of her, which to me it's very triggering. I have another video out there about my childhood and my family, but I went through a very, very similar situation. Obviously not a famous pop star like Britney, but I was driven with drunk and would watch two people in my life get in drunken, stupid arguments. It's a lot to take on, especially at that young of an age. So unfortunately, I feel like I can resonate with how Britney was feeling in these situations. Lynn also reportedly filed for divorce and even a personal protection order because of Jamie being abusive and even infidelity, but that was actually withdrawn later on. Fast forward, after Britney is done with her Mickey Mouse days, she signed a record contract with Jive Records. Back in the day, this was in 1997, which is the year I was born. That's so crazy. Back then, they were really emphasizing on girl groups. Girl groups were successful. Britney was being pushed into girl group options. Ultimately knew that she wanted to be a solo artist. Her team was not going to have her be in a girl group. So she pitched herself around. Back then, the music industry is so different now. We have YouTube, we have streaming services. It's hard to do, but you still have the possibility of getting famous or well known on your own, whereas back in the day there were gatekeepers that you had to go and audition in front of. You had to have a record label. So Britney was going and trying to get a record deal, and Jive Records was the one who finally signed her in 1997. After that, in 1999 is when this beloved album was released and certified double platinum after only a month, which is insane. For better or for worse though, through her deal with Jive Records, they forced her into do what we all know now as the iconic baby voice. And yes, while it is iconic, you know when you hear it or when someone's mocking it, when someone is trying to mimic Britney. You know the Britney voice. However, it's not her natural voice. It never was. If you try to change your voice and do something that's so unnatural, so unhealthy, it deteriorates your voice. She gets so much unnecessary hate. It wasn't even her choice to do the baby voice, but I mean, could you imagine being, I'm assuming she's 16 years old, you're walking into a record label and they say, we'll sign you, but we need you to sell this voice. We don't want you to fit in, which, no, you don't want to fit in. She was also debuting around the same time as Christina Aguilera, who had this deep, beautiful voice, and they wanted to separate her and make her different, make her stand out. So while you could say you get it, it's just another one of the dark things about the music industry. I'll give you guys a quote right here. It was this voice that gave her a more girly appearance, a less mature sound. It's the voice that gave her the pop sound that attracted millions of listeners and fans from across the world. The voice that made her into a pop sensation. Still, that one tiny little thing is where the control just snowballed. It was a domino effect because everyone in her life just continued to take more control away from Britney. Back in her early days of performing, there's a video that I found through doing research and watching other videos, and it blew my mind. I think she's doing a talent search show, and I think she's about 6 years old. She goes on the stage and sings "Love Can Build a Bridge." I was not expecting what I heard.
From Kentwood, Louisiana, here is 10-year-old Britney Spears.
So back to more of her personal life. In May of 2000, she released the also iconic Oops, I Did It Again album. This debuted at #1 again. She eventually went on tour with NSYNC, and her infamous romance with Justin Timberlake came to fruition.
Interested in romance than record sales. After Britney and Justin went public, their fans went wild.
Justin's a baby. And Britney sucks.
I just want to say I like Britney Spears.
I think what's the most disgusting and disturbing thing about all of this is when she started dating Justin, if you go back and watch these interviews, all the way up until they broke up and each released songs about one another. Justin was Cry Me a River, implying that Britney had been unfaithful, and then there was Britney with her beautiful song Every Time. In all of these interviews before and after the relationship, I just can't believe how different the media was back then. I mean, the media still isn't great, but the questions that they would ask this girl.
It was pretty rough, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ah, weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strong Britney. Yeah, it was a weird. Ew. I'm embarrassed. Can we stop?
She would be on stage and she started dating Justin Timberlake, and after they broke up, they were asking her about if she was going to save herself for marriage. And this girl is what? It's 2000, so at this point she's 19, and you're asking her all of these very personal intimate questions. There's one interview where a journalist just keeps prying her about it after Britney is clearly not interested.
I'm just wondering how you feel about all the constant speculation about your virginity and whether you are a virgin or not.
I really wish I would have never said anything to begin with, because I'm kind of stuck in this little place where people are always asking me. But, you know, that's just something that's part of growing up, and that's just something that we all have to deal with, so.
Have there been any changes on that front?
That's a personal question.
The problem was it started to be more about Britney and making a scene of every detail of her personal life. Every breath she took was a news story, rather than focusing on the incredible career and talent this girl had. I mean, the paparazzi and what they were allowed to do back then, I think it's so different because, like I said, in this 2020 era, we have social media, YouTube. We have people who can talk and put things out for themselves. Celebrities have their own social media platforms. But back then, again, the media was the gatekeeper to all of your information about these celebrities. You couldn't go follow them and hear from them directly themselves off of what they would tweet or what they would post. So looking back at these video footages of how the paparazzi would just harass her at her darkest, most vulnerable moments, or even just when the poor girl had to go to a gas station one time to go to the bathroom.
What's up, guys? What's up? Hey, guys, come on.
Everybody back up. Everybody back up. Back up. Back up.
These guys were literally lined up at the door just waiting for her to get out. I mean, people can call Britney crazy all they want, but if I went through what this woman had to go through for the past 2 decades, I would have shaved my head too. I also would have hit a paparazzi with an umbrella. Sorry, I would have done it. I don't think she's that crazy. Britney is starting to get very frustrated with the media, obviously. And she's out at a club with one of her childhood friends. Britney and Jason Allen Alexander were in Las Vegas, Nevada, which what happens in Vegas didn't stay in Vegas at this point. And they decided to just get hitched. I think she just wanted someone to make her feel safe. I mean, the more you go into the details about Britney's life, whether it be her family, her own freaking family, her team, the media, she just wanted someone to make her feel safe and to love her. And at that point, she probably wasn't really loving herself because the media and everyone around her was constantly telling her why she didn't have value. I honestly don't think that she felt loved or valued, and when you constantly are being told by everyone around you that you don't have value, how do you feel like you do yourself? Well, immediately after that marriage happened, I think they said it was a 54-hour marriage. It was quickly annulled. Britney's team got wind of it. They said, absolutely not, shut that stuff down, and they annulled it. Well, it wasn't too soon after that she ended up getting married to Kevin Federline, one of her former backup dancers. Together, they had 2 children, Sean Preston and Jaden James. It's very clear from the interviews that she gave during this time that she just wanted a family. She wanted to settle down, she wanted to find love, and she said that the most fulfilling thing in her life, the thing that she is the most proud of, is being a mother. That's all this girl wanted.
Y'all are just laughing and looking like you're having fun all the time.
I mean, you can't be serious all the time.
Yeah. Well, you look like you're...
too short to be serious.
Yeah, but you look like you're laughing all the time. You look like you're having fun, and also having fun with the fact that, I mean, because there really is nothing you can do. There's no way you can get away from, you know, the paparazzi being every single place that you go, they're there. So instead of trying to fight it, you just have fun with it and play with it.
Yeah, and that's why we decided to do the show too, because like I didn't feel like sometimes their personal life becomes bigger than their work, and you have the choice to either put a wall up, or I wanted to try something different and let people in and show that you have nothing to hide and just kind of put it out there instead of the other way around.
you know, you're used to it because you've been doing this for a while, but all of a sudden for you to be in this limelight and under a magnifying glass, and right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's completely hard. It gets on you sometimes. You know, it has its ups and downs, but I mean, I'm just happy with who I'm with. I love her, and everything else is whatever.
Now, the baby, that's very exciting. Now, you have to be really excited about that.
Yes, ma'am.
The last one, yeah.
Her marriage to Kevin slowly started to decline after they had baby number 2, and Britney was in a series of scandals. Again, the paparazzi was horrifically harassing her, to the point where there were a couple times, I can't remember which son it was, but she had almost tripped and dropped him because the paparazzi were swarming her and wouldn't let her through.
Go around the other way.
Oh.
Come on, guys. Come on. All right, you guys give room, please. Give some room, please. Room. Make room.
That's why I need a gun.
What's up, guys? Please, thank you.
But they would catch her at her darkest moments, and at one point she just wanted to get away. She said in an interview, "I just wanted to get away from the paparazzi."
What do you think it'll take to get the paparazzi to leave you alone?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is that one of your biggest wishes?
Yeah. It's okay. I would like for them to leave me alone.
If you could talk to them as individuals, not as a group, what would you say to them?
I would just say that you have babies at home, and you have a wife, and if you don't, you have to realize that we're people, and that we just need privacy, and we need our respect.
So they got pictures of her holding her son in her lap while she was driving, not in a car seat. I don't condone that, but I also feel like when you are in fight or flight, which she constantly was with the paparazzi, and I don't have kids yet, but I have 2 fur babies, and I can only imagine if I had a child and I was being harassed, but now my child's safety is at stake. Yeah, you're probably gonna make some stupid in the moment decisions because all you're thinking of is, I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here. I have to protect my child. But again, she just got ridiculed by everyone about now, not only was she a good person, was she a good role model, but was she a good mother? Could you imagine that? I just find it so funny because all of these people who were judging her didn't have hundreds of paparazzi swarming them and their children every day, everywhere she goes. She's going to the grocery store, going to the gas station, going to a doctor's appointment with her baby. There's dozens of paparazzi right behind her, literally at some points like right on top of her and her children. Eventually, Britney filed for divorce from Kevin after she had had baby number 2 and he wasn't helping, was off partying in Vegas. That was the last straw. Britney filed for divorce. She also lost her beloved aunt all around this exact same time frame. Her aunt was the one person who she felt she could trust from the time she was a child and going through these childhood traumas with her parents and the drunk driving, the fighting. Her aunt was her best friend and her rock. So between now being ridiculed by the media and society, losing her one person she trusted, having her children now being in a custody battle with who is now her ex-husband, she's starting to feel pretty low. 2007 was the infamous head shaving.
Hi, Britney.
No, guys, please, guys, don't.
Even by the wild standards of celebrity behavior, what Britney did was unprecedented. At 25, the twice-divorced mother of 2 shaved her head in full view of the paparazzi.
She is completely
Oh my God.
She looked like she was on overload. She had something on her mind and she was on a mission and nobody was going to stop her.
Why'd you cut your hair like that?
I mean, that's got to be a physical way of saying there's something wrong with me.
I I still remember people mocking it all the way back then to this day. When that happened, I was only 10, but it was something that was so symbolic and iconic. I hate to say iconic because it was very sad, but it still held a huge impact in pop culture. Again, Britney said, I just want people to stop touching me. They've touched my hair. I want it gone. And the shop owner wouldn't even shave her head because, of course, probably if you have a pop star come in and say, hi, I want you to shut this whole store down for me so you can shave my head, you're gonna go, what? And you also don't want to be the reason that if they regret it, anyway. Store owner allowed Britney to shave her head in her store, and the paparazzi were right there to document it all. And from that moment, Britney became a laughingstock. There are so many videos of people trashing Britney Spears for shaving her head. I think that this is a very important thing to note, is that just 10, 15, 20 years ago, when Britney was in the height of her career, mental health was not talked about. It was something that made you weak, which we all know now that's not the case. But Britney couldn't openly talk about the emotions that she was going through because they would just make fun of it. They would just find a way to make a skit out of it, make a meme out of it, and write her off.
So Britney Spears was at the Video Music Awards for MTV, and apparently it was a disaster.
Right, Jank. This was her huge opportunity to make a comeback, and everybody was expecting so much, and we got caca.
Let's roll it.
If you're looking for trouble,
uh-oh, she's back!
if you're looking for trouble,
Is that her real hair? No.
look right in my
I don't think so.
But I'm still sexy, y'all. Now I'm gonna dance for you.
And like I said, if I went through what this woman went through from such a young age in such a short time, in front of everyone, because we've all gone through our own issues, but in front of the entire world, for everyone to criticize you. I mean, there was one woman, I think she was a wife of a public figure, she literally said, I want to Britney Spears because of the clothes she wears, the songs she sings, and because I think of the VMA performance where she kissed Madonna.
The wife of the governor of Maryland, who appeared at an anti-violence rally, and, well, listen to what she said.
Really, if I had an opportunity to shoot Britney Spears, I think I would.
Oh, that's horrible.
Well, like, you can disagree with that, but you want to shoot Britney Spears? What? So this all trickles down to what we now know is Britney Spears' conservatorship. After the head shaving incident, we get to 2008 and Britney's dad becomes her conservator. I'm going to read to you from my phone what the definition of a conservatorship is. It is a legal concept in the United States. A guardian or protector is appointed by a judge to manage the financial affairs and/or daily life of another due to physical or mental limitations or old age. A person under a conservatorship is a conservatee, a term that can refer to an adult. This is where everything starts to get really twisted. Her dad is her conservator. It is said that he gets $130,000 a year just to be her conservator. It's way more than I make in a year. That's way more than every average American makes in a year. What is his incentive to get rid of the conservatorship when he literally just signs off and gets to profit off of his daughter? It also says that over $1 million, $1.1 million, is what is being used annually for court fees for this conservatorship that Britney has no control over. I also want to put an emphasis on this. Under the conservatorship, Spears cannot drive her own car, vote, get married, have more children, spend her own money, which she is allowed $1,500, $1,500 a week as her allowance. This woman is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, has worked for the last 20 plus years, and her dad gives her a $1,500 weekly allowance for shopping and expenses. Just let that sit in. Or even speak publicly about the conservatorship. Britney's dad claimed when he filed this document to get the conservatorship rights that Britney was having early onset dementia. So at 26, Britney Spears is having early onset dementia. But yet, here's the kicker. For the past 13 years, that woman has still worked like a dog. And everyone around her who has control over her now profits off of that. They profit off of her still working. But Britney doesn't. Do you see how this is very messed up? Throughout her 12-year conservatorship, Spears has released 4 albums, done a 4-year, $140 million Las Vegas performance residency, launched fashion and fragrance products, and even judged the X Factor. And I remember that. I was a big fan of the X Factor. Being a judge.
Holy cow, yes.
I had no idea that when I was watching that, Britney was under a conservatorship. How do you claim someone has early onset dementia, but yet she can remember dance moves, she can remember lyrics, she can judge shows, she can start new brand. It's just very sus, to say the least. speaking of her Vegas residency, she had another Vegas residency set. It was going to be her domination tour. The allegations are that Britney did not want to take her medication. She refused to take her medication. The other allegation is that Britney is on a lot of medications she should not be on, that are causing her to be inflamed, that are causing her to be a little bit off. And so she refused the medicine from her father. She said, I'm not taking it anymore. You cannot make me take this. So there is a phone call that leaked. An unnamed person who anonymously called this, I think another Free Britney podcast or news source, and said that he used to be on Britney's legal team and that her dad verbatim said, canceling the residency if you don't take your medication and we'll blame it on my illness. So back in, I think this was 2019, January around that time, Britney's Twitter account, because a lot of people don't think that she's actually the one fully in control of posting on any of her social media because of this conservatorship, posted that due to her dad being ill, she wouldn't be performing. Which, from an outsider, that sounds really sad and understandable. But from someone who's so deep into the Free Britney movement, it's just infuriating.
I cannot disclose who I am. Basically, Britney was in rehearsals for Domination. It came to Jamie's attention, Jamie Spears, that Britney was not taking her medication as prescribed. She was missing a lot of doses and just full on not taking them. So they got her to the doctor. The doctor said, okay, if you don't want these medications, let's get you on a new one. Well, she refused to take the new one. So Jamie said, either you take this medication or the show's off, and I'm pulling my support and you can't do it. Britney did not follow Jamie's instructions, and so he was true to his word. He pulled the show. He verbatim said, blame it on my illness. And that's when we get the early January Instagram.
We can't talk about the conservatorship without talking about Britney's team, which the more I find, the more confused and heartbroken I am for her. So Britney's current business manager's name is Luann Taylor, and she has been with Britney for over a decade now. But there are emails from prior to when Luann was working for Britney, where Britney was telling her lawyers she did not want anything to do with Luann. She thought that she was creeping on Britney. She was scaring her. She knew where she lived. She knew where her children were. So how does it go from, I'm scared of this woman, can we please do something, to this woman is now on my team as my business manager? Again, conservatorship. Britney has no say in anything. She has no say. Here's the other creepy part. Courtney Love and Lindsay Lohan have both spoken against Luann Taylor. What? I mean, especially Lindsay. The story is that her dad is the one who actually was the reason it never happened. Her parents were divorced. Her mother was starting to get into this idea, like the idea, because Lindsay Lohan was going through some public debacles herself and some negative things in the media. Lindsay's dad got wind of this and said, no way, you're not doing this to our daughter. Have you lost your mind? Good for Lindsay's dad. The more I hear about celebrities' parents, which, you know, my childhood wasn't the greatest, but I do have, you know, my mom is my, I love my mom so much, and I just couldn't imagine my mom ever putting me through these types of situations or wanting to sign off my rights to someone or take my money from me. It's just, it's insane. Another big player in this whole situation who is new to the Britney team brought in by the one and only Jamie Spears. Not Jamie Lynn Spears, because we know Britney has her sister Jamie and her brother. I don't remember her brother's name. So Jody Montgomery has her own conservatorship company, which again, there are people who need conservatorships. It's just weird to me that there's a whole business for it. I don't know. Jody Montgomery was brought onto her team in September of 2019, so she's only been on board for about a year now. Jamie was the original conservator of Britney's conservatorship, but then he stepped down due to, again, health reasons, and Jody Montgomery took his place. Those health reasons allegedly are that he got into a legal dispute because he was not good, one of Britney's sons, and when they went back in for a custody battle, Britney now only has 30% custody of her 2 kids.
Britney Spears' father is being accused of child abuse. Let's get up to Raquel Villanueva. She has the news at the moment.
Jeff, Britney Spears' dad, Jamie, is under investigation after her ex, Kevin Federline, accused him of abusing their son. TMZ says the incident happened August 24th. Jamie Spears allegedly broke down a locked door and put his hands on one of his grandsons during an argument. Kevin reported it the next day. The Ventura County District Attorney's Office will go over the evidence and decide if charges are necessary. Right now, Kevin has legal custody, 70% legal custody of his 2 kids with Britney, and he asked the court for this new custody agreement 3 days after reporting the alleged abuse.
Thank you, Raquel. Wow, that 70% for, right? Usually the mom gets that sort of custody.
Right. When they first, because they were 50-50 in the beginning, like once everything was, clear. This is not, well, one, that's his job. That's his 100% main job. So I would assume that he would be the person who is best able to be the custodial parent.
Could you imagine that? Being a mother and knowing that a lot of what's going on around you isn't your fault, but because of those around you, you now only have 30% custody of your own kids. I've also heard this allegation going across social media and in other videos I've watched that Britney's net worth is being highly underplayed. I've heard in other videos that it's, $200-300 million, which makes sense because if you look up people like Miley Cyrus or other people who kind of had a similar path as Britney as far as, Disney and then music, I think Miley's is over 300 million or about 350, something like that. So I would expect that from Britney, who's raking in just from her Vegas residency alone over $140 million. But if you Google it, it says, I think 50 or 60 million, which is, that alone just feels very sus, So in Salone's video, he alleges that they are trying to downplay her actual net worth so that if anything is taken from her net worth, it wouldn't be known to the public. Which, if that is true, that is terrifying. So some other examples of some very suspicious activity going on was in 2016 when Glory was released, which on a whole nother note, that is a very undervalued album. Every artist has one of those, but when that came out, I was in college and I loved it. I would listen to it to and from coming home from school, when I would come home from being out of state. And I loved Glory. I still work out to Glory, but apparently it wasn't one of her most popular albums. But when you watch the clip that actually made it to, there was someone from the audience who said that what she said that got cut out was that she wanted more control over her life and Glory felt like her baby because she got to have control over it. There's so many other video clips where Britney just talks about wanting to be free or the freedom she feels just from driving her car.
All right, this is all. I'm overwhelmed. I think I'm going through this transitional stage in my life where I'm just really figuring out what Britney wants and really just who I am. I know, I'm a princess. Having a house by yourself, it's just that, I don't know, that independent feeling of I'm living on my own and my parents aren't here, You just start feeling more confident, start feeling like I'm in more control of what I do. It's a cool feeling. It's just the feeling of being in your car and you're driving with the top down and just listening to music. And, it just makes me think of how I was when I used to be back home.
It's so obvious that this girl Unfortunately, it's not obvious because we're just all catching on, but there's so many signs looking back now that this girl had so much control taken from her so early on. Even just looking at her songs and her song lyrics. I mean, Lucky, everyone goes back to Lucky. How do we not see that? I mean, that Lucky's the most slap in the face song. Everyone thinks she's the it girl, everyone thinks she has it, but at night she cries herself to sleep. And if I'm so lucky, then why am I sad? Why don't I feel whole? Or I'm a slave for you. I mean, there's just so many things that now it's like, red flag, Britney needs help. As far as signs in her music go, back in 2004, I didn't even know this, but Britney was supposed to release an album called Original Doll with songs that she had wrote herself about very personal topics. And these songs took aim at all the people who were taking control from her in her life. Well, of course, her label said, Britney, you can't release that. That's too personal. But what they were trying to say was, Britney, you can't expose us all. You can't release that. Nope.
Good luck with your album. It's untitled.
It's probably going to be called The Original Doll, so.
And it's half done?
Yeah, it's halfway done right now.
All right, so maybe by the summer, maybe by the fall?
Yeah, maybe a little bit earlier.
All right, I know everybody's going to want to hear the new single over and over, so I'm going to try to play it as much as I can, okay? The new Mona Lisa.
Hot.
It's just a taste.
This is a story about Mona Lisa.
It was a cry for help, but no one listened. There's YouTube videos that claim to be the Original Doll album. From my understanding on a lot of those videos, some of it is just compilations of songs that Britney never released and not the official album. I don't know if there's actual clarity or a conclusion on what that album as a whole was going to look like, but there were some specific songs like Mona Lisa. You can all go look this up. I'll try and find links and put them in the description box below. Just imagine, as an artist, I write my own music and I write things that I go through or that I know other people have gone through because it comes from a place of personal experience and growth. And to have someone say, nope, that's too personal, can't do that. You have to just do whatever we feed you because you are a puppet. If you guys follow Britney on Instagram, you will see her very strange posts, and a lot of people have been going in and trying to be a Sherlock Holmes and figure out all of these coding and secret messages, and I'm totally for that. Like, I do think that there might be some consistencies with some cries for help or coding, like Morse code kind of thing, but Britney code through Instagram. Because on the outside, it looks like she's posting these random, very strange posts, which she is. But it's hard because if her team is in control of what she puts out, how do we know for sure? And we won't really know for sure, at least not until this might someday be closed, which I hope it is. There are a lot of things that line up. There's a lot of people who have in-depth TikTok or YouTube videos where they show examples.
What's up, everybody? I've been seeing all the stuff about the Free Britney movement, and I feel compelled to say something about this now. I used to work with Britney back in 2008-09 during her comeback. My name's Andrew Gallery. I was an in-house director and photographer for her. Here's a couple pictures so you guys can see. So in that time, we became close friends. We were on tour together, spent every day together for, a while. And in that time, she gave me a letter that she wanted me to read to you guys. And I'm putting it right up here behind me because before I got a chance to read it to you guys, the conservatorship took it and destroyed it. So before they destroyed it, I did make a copy. So here it is. After reading Kevin's article in People, I was amazed at how a lot of the focus was on Britney, their mother, in order to sell a story for People magazine, instead of the focus being on Kevin. What happened to Britney was a year ago, and people need to get with the times. And as for Kevin saying Britney divorced him, she just was forced by her lawyers because she went to visit him in New York, and he wouldn't see her and the children, and her lawyers said if she doesn't divorce him, he's going to do it himself. So Kevin trying to play the innocent victim is hardly irrelevant. He left her and the babies. Her going on the men partying 2 years ago has nothing to do with the situation now. She's a completely different person, and most of their fighting was done back then because of his problem waking and baking to marijuana at 5 o'clock in the morning. No one talks about these things because no one knows the truth. Her behavior when her children got taken away because of her locking herself in the bathroom is understandable, considering her friend at the door kept telling her the cops are leaving. Stay in the bathroom. She was lied to and set up. Her children were taken away, and she did spin out of control, which any mother would in those circumstances. Her next visit took a toll. As well, she wasn't listening to her manager. He lost control, so he wanted to scare her. Now, this year, Britney has been silenced to speak about anything that's really going on. The people controlling her life have made $3 million this year. This next part is blurred out, so I'm going to show it to you guys. Okay, but this part says, if she speaks up, she is threatened. Sorry, some of this it's hard to read. She would love for new eyes to see her situation, but if she brings it up, she's constantly threatened that the conservators will take her kids away. Okay, next page. So how long does this go on? As long as the people are getting paid and she has no rights, it could go on for a while. But it doesn't make it right at all. Everyone is very quick to put a gloomy eye on Britney. Does anyone talk about Janet Jackson giving her baby to her brother? Hopefully she won't do it with this. Britney's given her brother a $2 million apartment, her mother a $4 million estate in Louisiana, and her father the best job in show business. She's a very giving person and would love to get the respect she deserves. So like I said, she gave this letter to me back in like 2008 or so. I was under a contract back then. I couldn't really talk about anything. And now seeing everything that's going on, frankly, I'm a little worried about her. So I wanted to get this out there. There's also a lot more to this story, so I will post more later. So I'll also post the letters here, and you can see that they're in the original ink, the original ink that they were written in, so you know that they're real. And then I also post a quick video here. You can see of us together in Paris when we were on tour. And then I also just put up the photo that I took there while we were up there on the balcony. Anyway, I hope this helps.
The biggest one that people caught on was people were saying in the comments, I think back in like the summer, a few months ago, if you need help, wear yellow in your next video. And then all day she was just posting yellow. She was spinning around in this yellow top. She posted all these yellow pictures. It's so hard. Again, her team is controlling what she does, but is she trying to do it in very low-key, hidden ways? I think she's a human being who has gone through hell and back and is just trying to get control of her life back.
12:29 a.m.
Hi, my name is Britney Spears. I called you earlier, but I'm calling again because I just wanted to make sure during the process of ending the conservatorship that my father has threatened me several times that, he'll take my children away. I just want to be guaranteed that everything will be fine with the process of you guys taking care of everything and things just being the same as far as my custodial time. That's it.
So where are we in present day 2020?
I was motivated to come out now just because of her reaching out and basically conveying to me that she would like to see me. But without the conservatorship, that's not possible. So I'm kind of fighting for that.
With Britney finally speaking up yesterday and having her lawyer submit some paperwork saying that she didn't want her father as her primary conservator anymore, I do believe that the Free Britney movement and the support behind it has made her feel strong enough that she can use her voice and speak up for what she wants.
The movement surfaced and gotten attention through media and social media, and now that the hearings are more frequent and that you hear things like her father being removed, you see changes happening. So just trying to keep that movement happening, keep changes being made until we can get rid of the conservatorship completely.
Britney has been going about once a month to court to fight this conservatorship. But the horrible thing is with this conservatorship, she had a court-appointed judge, which I will first of all say, typically they aren't worth crap. I went through my own court battles with custody with my parents growing up because they're divorced. What drives me nuts is Britney's dad keeps saying, everyone needs to stand down, Free Britney is just a hoax, people need to know that. He didn't even say, I know what's right for my daughter. He said, the courts will determine what's right for my daughter. Can someone please tell me what kind of a caring parent says the court will determine what is right for my daughter? Unfortunately, the court system is not very reliable. My mom tried to get custody from my dad for a lot of different neglect and different reasons. Ultimately came to the point where they said, we can't give you full custody because that's her dad. But if something happens to her, you're going to be legally responsible because you didn't do anything. Even though she was in court with me. Like, it's just, the court system is so messed up. I used to have CPS take me out of my classes. I would tell them what was going on and ask them to get my siblings and I out of the situation. They would do nothing. Like, constantly come and embarrass me, interrupt my day, and do nothing. So I don't trust the court system. And to think that Jamie Spears is fully entrusted in the court system is very concerning to me. Thankfully, Britney finally got a small victory. Britney was granted permission to expand her legal team. According to Entertainment Tonight, Britney's petition to expand her legal team in the conservatorship battle has been approved. Yay, girlfriend deserves it. Her father argued against the request, of course he did, claiming that it would cost his daughter too much money. Hold up, so it's gonna cost Britney too much money to have her own legal team that she appoints herself, but yet your $130,000 salary and the $1.1 million you're spending on all these legal fees every year for the conservatorship, that's not too much money? And Loeb & Loeb, which is the firm that is now going to be representing Britney at her next court date, they gave her a discount. They literally just want Britney to be free and to have justice. And they know that Britney Spears can afford to pay whatever premier high price tag they put on it, but they just want justice for her. So all of that coming together, what is next for Britney? What is the next court date? According to what I could find, it's in November. I couldn't find the exact date. I think I remember hearing from Sloan November 20th. I'll have to double check that. I am going to try my best to keep myself updated, try and do some update videos. I would love to do that just because I think this is so important. Britney, unfortunately, is not the only person who has been in this situation or is going through this, but right now she is the most popular person going through this. It's just a nightmare to think that someone could actually go through this. That's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that that was informative for maybe those of you who are new to Free Britney. I would love to keep doing updates and trying to educate myself. I think it's really important that we keep this fight up for Britney. So if you would like me to do some more, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss a notification. But Britney, I am so sorry for what you have had to go through. I'm sorry about the media. I'm sorry that in the lowest point in your life, there was no one there to make you feel not alone. Britney deserves justice, and we're going to keep fighting until she gets it. Bye, guys.